And a lot of people cut their winter tires on instead of. One of which is my wife, but I'm not going there.
Okay, my heart is gonna stop here, beating very fast. You have a
Are
lot of-
you all excited? Twitter feed?
I was nervous.
Twitter page, I haven't heard that in a long time. Okay, it is 10:07 and Ben is walking in the door. Whoops, not quite. We're gonna open this meeting at 10:07. Maybe,
Yeah, all set.
it's all
I'm just
set,
asking Jordan if she can hear.
okay. And we'll open with some public comments that are public and not in the agenda. So do we have folks on board with us?
We have quite a few folks on board.
Okay,
So if somebody wants to raise their hand, who wants to go first?
You're here to speak or just look good? Well, look good.
I see no hands, Judy.
okay, then, as soon as Ben gets here, we will start with our
Morning.
agenda.
Okay.
I actually am gonna take things out of order, which should come as no surprise to anybody. At the moment, it's intentional.
Mm.
Let's talk about Mr. Rich, tree trimming for Eversource.
So we had a meeting, or not we, but Eversource came last week to meet with the planning board to talk about the scenic road component, and while they were there, talked about a section of East Bedford Road,
Mhm.
where they've had some difficulty in getting permission to do some trimming. I gave you the
Yep.
whole thing, or just the poles, so that you see kind of that's the section that they're concerned about. So Hensley and I are going to meet with the person
Okay.
and see if we can get them comfortable with the Eversource liaison to come and meet with them and have a conversation. The growth is into the three-phase lines at the top, and it's reaching a point where it very likely will start to create ground contact. So it needs to be dealt with pretty quickly.
So the tree has grown over the wires.
The wires in the top three phase, and that's about the highest voltage lines we have in the community at this point, and it serves 2,600 people get their power from that line going by that property. So we want to do what we can to help facilitate a positive conversation between Eversource and that.
The property
property.
owner.
Does Eversource need the property owner's permission to come in and trim the
Yes.
trees?
Yeah.
Don't they have an easement that allows them to maintain
They have an easement, but there's still landowner rights that control that, short of them going to the PUC to get like additional permissions.
Right.
So-
Yeah, they do have further avenues that
Yeah.
they can take.
There, my question would be, I would think that the state road has an easement there, and is that tree in the state right of way?
From what they said at the planning board, and I don't know all the logistics behind it, but it sounds like the easement ends just prior to where these
Trees are.
trees are, so they can't do anything without the either landowner permission or the step above. If the landowner doesn't give permission and they can't get it through any other way, they have to go to the PUC. And then it comes back through. But we just want to make you aware that, hey, this is something we're trying to figure out a positive,
Okay,
I don't think
appreciate
the
it.
select board has any role in this.
I
No,
don't think yet, it's
None.
more just advisory that, hey, if this goes to the PUC and they ask the select board for any input that,
It would look like you've shown us 5 areas,
5 poles essentially.
and
That-
at least one would be on town property,
Correct,
and then all of the other 4,
are on that. There's three lengths that essentially run through there, and when you drive through the foliage is right there.
and there's no, are they all 4 trees grown, or?
There's not, like, more than 4. It's a lot of
Okay.
small diameter stuff. The concern we have is some of the trees are grow almost from the base of the property, and they're up into the lines. So there's just concern from the power company that this
Yep.
could start to create ground contact and become a risk for fire, even to the property. So
Okay,
Do we have any sense, I mean, do we know anything about the property owners or their view about this? Have they-
my
is it-
understanding-
Are they openly hostile to Eversource or are they?
Yeah.
my
they like their
understanding
trees?
is, yeah, my understanding is like 10+ years ago, there was a tree company that came in to do some trimming. And, they weren't really happy with how the end result was. And it might have been longer than 10 years, might be 15. Since then, they have not allowed them to come back on property. So it's just every 5-year cycle, it's gotten a little bit more of a problem until now we're at a point where, something has to be done.
and if there's so if it is overhanging.
Yep.
Don't they have a right to go and trim the overhanging part? They being
My
Eversource. or
understanding
the-
is not without the permission of the landowner or going before the PUC to get like an override to be able to do that stuff.
Hmm.
So it still goes to some.
I thought they were able to do that if they gave notice.
I think they did a notice.
Yeah.
They sent the notice out, but if people return the cards, they say you can't come on my property, then it has restricted some of what they can do.
Okay,
So they asked if we could essentially just advise you and try to see what we can do to help facilitate this relationship, becoming more positive. And if they can't, then they have to figure out what the next steps are.
okay,
So it's more just advisory to say, hey, this came up at the last meeting and
yeah, I understand how it's always discouraging when you have a tree that's taken many years to grow
Yeah.
and then half of it disappears.
then the top is lopped off. I get both sides of it.
But I also think that people need their electricity these days, so.
The planning commission that you were referring to is,
The planning
The
board.
planning board.
Here
Yeah.
in town, yeah,
oh, how did I miss
They
that?
came because they were trying to get, they were doing a public hearing on scenic road cutting. And then this came up
you may
during
have
that
been out
meeting
of town for that.
I missed it, I
Yeah.
guess.
It was last week or the week before.
last Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you. And then the other cute little item you have that you gave us is a new purchase?
Yep, so this is, Ernst has been looking for a forestry pump. We've been looking at, forestry pumps. This is a forestry pump on a skid. So it can go directly in the back of the UTV. We can use it to rapidly deploy water into the backcountry without having to carry said pump or other items. So it carries water with it. It's in the existing UTV that we have. And gives us another option beyond what our current capabilities are for the backcountry.
Excellent.
So,
So what is it, just a little electric motor or a gas motor?
yep,
And
so small gas motor, there's a hose reel there. It carries 85 gallons of water. So we can take 85 gallons up in the woods. We can deploy a hose all the way from, like if we're a mile in, we can run up to a mile of hose from what we currently have. Get us that position and be ready to flow water and attack up there.
Neat.
So hopefully we don't ever have to use this, but it seems to be that we're seeing more and more of these backcountry things, so.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah.
Good work, sleuthing that out.
Yeah.
All right, yes, sir.
While we have Aaron here, and this is out of order, but we have a letter that we're gonna be talking about with respect to the Smiths property.
Yeah,
And one of the things I was thinking was that before we finalize this, we would want to get Sean and Aaron to look at it,
mhm,
because one of the components of the letter is emergency access.
mhm.
Do we want to give them a draft of that now, or Aaron a draft before he leaves, or? I don't imagine you're planning.
Well, I'll just email it to them, and then they can make any change they want.
Okay.
How would that be? That's a good suggestion, and yes,
Yeah.
and so we'll do.
How would you put that out?
What's that?
How would you put that out if it caught fire?
It wouldn't-
Depends on what's burning. Honestly, yeah,
Well, the problem is that the road will be closed,
right.
because there's nowhere to go.
And we have to be really, I mean, you would be parking a vehicle in the road,
All of them.
and yes,
Honestly, we'd probably go to the pull off above and try to figure out what was burning, what's occurring. I mean, it depends on which site we're talking about, but, and then the safety of any crews potentially going in there.
Well, or being on the road.
Right.
Given what we saw in the news last week, with that Vermont State Trooper who whacked
The
into.
road would definitely be closed for whatever time period that was, just to operate safely. It's on a sharp corner. It's not a great visibility spot on that best case scenario. So, yeah.
All right. While you're here, you're not prepared for this question, but we'll be shortly taking up the Class 6 Shoestrap Road.
Yep.
As the fire chief, safety officer, do you have any thoughts on that?
We're not using it. Ever since the road was closed, the apparatus has been prohibited. After the latest slough, I've made sure that no member of the fire department responds across it with a POV, personal vehicle. So we don't touch that road at this
Okay.
point.
Right.
Originally it was no town vehicles, no town equipment, but we have extended that to just say, I don't want even
Anything?
personal vehicle going.
Okay,
Might be fine, might not. I just don't wanna find out with one of our guys going across it for a call.
And if there were a problem there, if someone goes off the road or there's a vehicle fire on that road, do you respond to those kind of things or?
We would respond to essentially where the gates are to figure out what the situation was beyond it, and then figure out what resources were needed. There is a draft of a technical rescue plan involving a vehicle over the bank and what it would be required to figure it out, so.
So maybe.
Yeah, the answer is, if there's a life safety event down over the hill, we're gonna try to find a way to prevent loss of life. In the safest
Without
way.
taking all your vehicles down.
Yeah, we're not
So
gonna
it's
send vehicles. down over.
difficult.
So it's not a fun,
Right.
it's not a
it's
fun.
really a
event.
bad situation.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
That will be manpower intensive with a lot of technical rescue components coming in.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bert, do you have any more questions about anything? Okay,
Was there money attached to this?
So this unit is $3,200 used. New price for this is right around $8,000.
Used is good enough, because
Yeah.
there's nothing there that can't be fixed.
No, and it's a Honda motor, extremely reliable. This department used it sparingly over the last decade and would have continued using it. But they were provided a grant from the state of New York that provided them with a brand new UTV and a brand new one of these units on the back. So they're selling this one.
okay.
Good opportunity for us.
Thank you. All right,
All right.
I'll pop back up then. You're here, Sean's still here. Shoestrap Road, new signage.
Oh, okay, good. You're gonna go now. I
Yeah.
was gonna ask you, there's somebody on who
Oh,
wants to participate in that, so they were, and anyways.
okay,
Yeah,
so.
go for it.
I think last time we had gotten some information about the types of possible additional signs we could do.
Mhm. No,
And,
he's out of town. He's online.
I
Thank
think,
you, Aaron.
thank you, Aaron. I'm trying to listen to two things at
Yeah, I
once.
see that. Me too.
So I'm not coming up with it right off, but basically we have most of what we can do for signage. Wondering if either of the select board members, David or Ben, have any thoughts on what you would like to see for additional signage, or I think the gates, are they there now or are they
Mhm.
gone? They're
No,
gone.
they've been removed.
Whether we should think about doing new gates that can be open, not locked, but can be closed. And then move on to the big question.
Yeah, if you're gonna do gates, you probably wanna find out what, I'm sorry, but I can't talk and hear, and
Guys.
listen and.
Guys, I heard
Please.
the meeting going on.
Price wise, figure out what the gates are for both ends,
Mhm.
mainly because we already had them and they weren't successful because they don't get closed.
Right,
I'm not sure they're gonna be
Um,
successful to
yeah.
replace them. either.
Yeah. And then again, you know, like you said, there's signs down there that are appropriate for what's there, and you can't put out any signs that say dead end road, you know, no through road. You can't put out any sign that's not true, because it really is
it's
and it's-
existing in
right,
whatever shape it is in,
right,
and
correct.
the idea of a big sign up front, I think we were told that we were limited with what we could do with that.
You can do pretty much what's at the beginning of it that says, you know, Class 6
Class
road
6
not
road.
maintained,
Yeah,
you know, so many feet down the road and
But
travel your own.
the only thing that a sign is gonna do, the sign is gonna do anything with respect to people who have made an advised, who know what they're getting into and want to travel the road. The only
Right.
thing the sign is gonna do is prevent the person who's following Google Maps
Mhm.
or give them a warning and maybe cause them to turn around. And the only thing then, it seems to me that the only question about a sign is, you know, if it's a little red sign on the side of the road and they're traveling at night, or they've got they're doing their
distraction,
radio, then they might miss that. The only thing you could do is make the sign big,
yeah,
you know, and if it's big, then maybe it's harder to miss. But, I mean, that's not gonna solve the problem.
More signage is gonna solve any problems.
okay,
The current signs are large, however, some of them have been stolen.
Mhm.
We've replaced them several times with people painting over them. I'm never part of that.
thank you.
You know, so I mean, signs are only as good as if people leave them alone,
Yeah,
you know? And
so Ben and David, then it would be your thoughts that either keep replacing the signs, but basically nothing additional.
Well, vandalism is obnoxious, but
Yes, it is.
it's a fact of
Right.
life, and so if somebody steals a sign, we ought to replace it. If we thought the sign was worth putting up in the first place, it ought to be worth replacing it. Some kid steals it, or who knows what's going on there, and if it is a persistent enough problem, then we ought to tack up a game camera and.
we can't do that.
But we could electrify it.
Really, we can't put up.
Link a flash.
we can't get a-
No, that's why we're not allowed to put up cameras on public roads.
Mhm.
Huh.
You can change, I will say that I think when you drive down the road, because I know this has happened to me sometimes on our road, after a sign's been there a while, you just
You're
don't
used
look
to
at
it.
it, you don't notice it. So you could change up the color of them, or you could, you know, change
Yeah,
up
be
something to just make it different. You can even change the location of it a little bit, you know, bring it here, or I don't know.
Could you make them blinky?
Well, why not? A little solar blinking light, or,
I'm not convinced that the signage is gonna make a big impact, and the percentage of people that are unknown going down there are probably gonna see the signs, because it is big.
Mhm.
And make their own decision at that point.
You
And it's
can-
not 100%, they won't get through anyways.
Okay,
And they do have those little, they're just construction. ones
those little
that
yellow,
you don't,
orange
right,
ones.
right, and Hunter has his hand up.
Okay, we're gonna get to the, probably two people that are most interested in this issue shortly, but I want the board to be able to have the conversation first. We've had a request in writing to allow some maintenance, and we've worked on a permission to work on a Class 6 road, which is an alternative that the select board used, I'm guessing, 20 years ago, 15 years ago. It was a while.
Mhm.
We've also had a request not to allow maintenance on this road. And we had some information about this road, that how it's constructed and how it's slumping and washing out. I hope Ben and David both had a chance to see that information. So I'm looking to you two to begin the conversation of how you're feeling, what you're thinking about.
My view on it is in the absence of anything else, I would have been inclined to allow people to do maintenance on it. But that's not the situation we find ourselves in. We've had our road agent and our chief of police tell us that for public safety reasons, they strongly feel that no maintenance should be permitted on the road. And absent anything else, I would defer to Sean and Scotty. I mean,
I got Sean's letter here and he mentions that the road is significantly slumped where Rusty and Jeff put the culvert in. How do you know that?
From walking down there and looking at it.
I know, but have you measured the difference between what it was and what it is?
So you can visually see it.
That culvert's never been replaced. The one down the road is the one we replaced that isn't. sloping there.
That's the one.
Yeah.
But there is a slump on that side of the road there where you fixed that first culvert down low.
That has been there since we did the culvert. When the culvert failed and then the road slumped and all that happened,
Yeah.
then we put the culvert in and it stayed where it is. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it is stable. So that slump on that side was done prior to us replacing that culvert.
I just remember prior to the culvert going in, water going across the road and.
Yeah.
My concern at the time was the pure erosion was gonna be the culvert. And there's plenty of silt going down the Connecticut River as it is. Channels getting smaller and all that silt ends up in front of the dam somewhere. In somebody's dock or stuff like that. So keeping that road stable from erosion is as important. And as far as repairing a culvert that's obviously causing issues, it may not be all of the issues, but it's still, there's clearly erosion taking place for the culvert that's broken in pieces. And it would be less if it was replaced. That's my opinion.
So you would be for allowing
For allowing that,
some one-time minimal
yeah.
repairs.
Ben knows way more about road construction than I do. I feel like I am compelled to rely on the people who seem the most expert from a public safety perspective, and that would be Sean and Scotty. So, I mean, if Ben's changed your mind, then I'm on board, but if he hasn't, then I defer to you. I don't wanna see somebody get hurt. I don't wanna see the road collapse with a car on it.
Right.
And some of the things you outlined in your letter to us concern me, so.
Right. While I agree with Ben about silt and erosion and those kinds of things, I truly believe that the more maintenance that is allowed to be done on that road, the more sense of security people are gonna have. And at some point, somebody's not gonna make.
Mhm.
And I do know,
Dina?
well, I was just gonna say, I'm really bummed that it's snowing and I'm sure Scott is. Because he wanted to be here
Mhm.
to talk about this from
Mhm.
not only a
From-
safety point of view, but he builds roads,
Yeah.
so. But
And Jeff, you're here with us. Would you,
Yeah,
in a short bit?
yeah, no, that's all good. The thing that I find frustrating is, everybody that recommends the road not be kept so that we can pass with one vehicle doesn't live down near the river where that's been a handy access off from the river. And it's a class 6 road, which I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but it'd be no different than if Ben wanted to improve Smith Mountain Road for something, that's a class 6 road.
Mhm.
And so you're asking about signs. What signs do we have on Smith Mountain Road? Is there anything advising people not to?
Well, there aren't any because nobody goes anywhere on that.
Yeah,
It goes up and stops on my
Yeah.
property.
well, you can go past them.
Well, you can, but
Yeah.
then you're going on private property.
Well, it's still a through road. Bill
No,
already went through
no,
that.
It's not.
You can't gate that
Class-
road.
Class 6 road ends at the top of the hill.
Well, in any case, my point being is that all the class 6 roads, I mean, there's not this big a discussion. And this one, I feel wouldn't be a discussion now if certain neighbors hadn't raised up, which have, I feel, self-motivated reasons for wanting it to be closed, not because somebody's gonna go over the bank, just they would like to live on a dead-end road.
Okay,
And I've been there 38 years. In the 38 years, 2 vehicles have gone off that road. And nobody's been injured, everybody walked away, or staggered away in their cases. You know, and I'm not trying to make the road a highway, I just wanna
I
make
know.
it so that if you choose to drive up a class 6 road, I have that option. And
okay.
as far as responders, they've already said that they're not liable to go there.
Well,
or
they're not
Mount
gonna
Vernon or anywhere else.
Go there, that's right.
Other class 6 roads have been improved enough for logging because they've been used for logging access over the years.
Most class 6 roads are signed. Now, I can't speak 100% for Lyme signage, but I know when I worked in Hanover, I can't say 100% of them were, but most were signed. Many of them had gates, which you could open
Sean,
and
would you
close.
say that this class 6 road, that
It
Shoestrap
is
is
unique.
unique within the town of Lyme in terms of the amount of through traffic it gets? Is it,
Yeah, you know, I mean, the fortunate thing about Shoestrap Road is that, you know, up until 25 years ago, it was a road.
Yeah.
You know, and it was traveled a lot. And once it was voted as a class 6 road, you know, it still gets traveled a lot, you know. Fuel trucks go down that road, UPS guy, the FedEx guy, you know, people who have no business being down there, but oftentimes that's where GPS takes people, and I think at times people just are like, no, that's what
Can a
GPS
class
says, so I'm gonna
6
go.
road be limited to gross vehicle weight limits? I would think
Well, there's also a lot of people just like to use it.
yeah,
I mean, the town meeting spoke.
yeah, they wanted it class 6. Dina, I think, is Mr. Snyder still there?
Yes, yes.
Let's hear from him.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
We sure can. Thank you, Hunter.
Hi. Hi. I'd like to propose that the select board have a discussion about the request for maintenance on this portion of the road when all of the experts or the folks from the town can be present, as well as all of the interested parties from below and above Shoestrap Road, to discuss the options for resolving the issues that arise from through traffic on Shoestrap. So I'd like to suggest that we have an evening meeting with the road agent when he's not out shoveling all of the snow, with the chief of police, with the select board, and with folks who are above and below Shoestrap, or the class 6.
Okay, thank you.
Judy,
Sean.
I would just reiterate that, you know, Ben already said town meeting, they want this a class 6 road, so I don't think this is not a discussion about whether this is a class 6 road or not.
Right.
Correct,
This is a discussion about whether the board authorizes maintenance,
right.
period.
Exactly.
I think Mr. Snyder recognizes that, but you're right. It's, do we repair it or do we not? It is class
No,
6.
we're not repairing?
We're
We're
not,
not, right.
the request that we have is not a broad request to maintain the road. It's a specific request to fix the culvert that is obviously causing erosion.
Replace a culvert that's failing, so it would be,
Well, let me just interrupt because I can help with this. Mr. Snelling will have to hand in to the board an actual plan, not like a big plan, but a specific itemized list of what he's going to do and when he's going to do it. And it's all part of that permission that he has to sign and the liability
mhm,
thing.
And also Greg Hartman is involved in this, also the landowner,
Right,
that's
right.
actually the road's part of the culvert's on is part of his land.
Could I ask a question? Are all property stakeholders down there, have they all been notified of
This meeting?
this request?
I don't know that
Like
they've been
those at
notified,
Crossroads,
No.
but
because they own the land.
everyone was notified of the, town meeting and that it was a warrant article, two
Right.
warrant articles.
Yeah, no, I'm just talking about Mr. Snelling's request, because Crossroads owns the land
On the
on the.
Brook side, the
So your
south
point
side.
is that abutters or adjacent property owners ought to be notified and given a chance to speak before we make a decision.
That's what I'm.
And,
That's in, sorry. Yeah,
well,
Yeah,
they
but
could,
that's,
they
that's
could
in
be,
line
but
with.
one of them is already, partnering with Jeff in the request to fix the call.
One of the property owners.
Right, but there are a couple others.
I also have one more question, if that's
Yes, sir.
okay.
Yep,
This question is for Ben. Ben, have you had a chance to study the engineering report that was completed on behalf of the town from 2003? And if
Ben
so,
was-
could you describe what was recommended in that report and how the proposed maintenance by Mr. Snelling satisfactorily addresses those recommendations for the road to be safe for use?
I remember that report at the time.
Have you reviewed it in the last couple of months?
I haven't reviewed it in the last couple months. I have, you know, we've been through a lot of situations in Lyme where engineering reports have been asked for with the basic premise of, is this road safe? And they end up, no engineer in this world is gonna say a road is safe. And if we've asked that question of a Grafton Turnpike, of many other roads in town, we'd have shut down. We wouldn't have enough money to fix the towns to meet a professional engineer's answer of whether the road is safe or not, so. You know, I personally felt it was unfortunate we went down that route. The town road agents have been maintaining True Staff Road forever. And the question came up and that question was asked of professionals and we got a $2 million answer, so. That's my opinion.
okay, thank you all. Is it a sense of the board that we schedule an evening meeting?
I don't think it has to be a evening meeting, there's nothing magic about that, but my view,
Non-snow day meeting.
yeah, my
Yeah.
view is that we ought to get Scotty in here along with Sean. And we ought to send a
Make
note
sure
to
all of
the
the
abutting
abutters-
property owners to make sure that they know that that's gonna be on the agenda and so that they can come in and talk, but I don't think we need to.
Okay,
And this is to talk about whether you're
Going
gonna
to-
allow maintenance
Allow
by a
this-
private
Whether
person.
Whether we're gonna
Specific.
grant this, the
the
request that's
specific
before the board.
request, yep. Yep. Jeff,
Just clarification for me. The town of Lyme still owns the property where the road sits, correct?
it's a,
You have.
Well, that's right.
No, you have a right of way.
I think it's a-
Right through it. You're,
Because we did not turn it back over to the land.
so that's why I don't understand. I mean, I'm not saying whatever. The whole point I have, I don't know how long all this will take to resolve, but part of what the town wanted the road to be able to walk on and to use. And after we get done spring, which may be July or something, I don't know.
yeah,
It is kind of important to fix the culvert, because eventually that's just gonna be washed out and nobody will have a place to walk or anything.
right,
It's just, that's what water does. It
Well,
doesn't
you
go where
could-
it's supposed to, it is gonna wash out.
You could do this at your next regular meeting. Couldn't you, in
Yeah.
2 weeks? And in the
And
meantime,
My
Jeff
one thing, and
Jeff and Mr. Hartman should
do the
send in your plan.
plan.
like you said, it doesn't, it's
A
not an
plan,
engineering plan, we're just putting in a new culvert and a couple loads of Midas stone to take where the road is slumped down. to build it up and that's,
So,
it'll still
I
be a
think-
single lane road.
Send them.
I think
Yes.
Dina can send you, there's 4 things that the applicants need. We do have a copy of the note that you brought in on March 21st. And Dina
And I'll
will,
also send him the document so
The
that they
draft.
can read what they need to sign to
if,
agree to.
right. And then if David's Khan suggested we schedule it for a regular meeting in 2 weeks from now, hopefully,
Oh, work, any kind of work he wants to do won't be able to be done for a while, so.
Yeah,
hold on, let me just make sure that I'm gonna be here 2 weeks from now, because I might run away.
Mm.
You
This is-
can't go anywhere.
That would be the 18th, yes, I'm here. Okay, so I'm sorry that you're have to come back.
no worries, it's all good.
It's a discussion, we've got a lot of people interested and we'd like to do the right thing, which who knows if it will be whatever we do, but
Well, I thought once the town agreed that they wanted to keep it open, that a certain amount of maintenance is such
No,
a broad thing, but
it's not automatic, it's
Yeah.
just a question of access to it and, so we will do the next April
and the
meeting.
big thing, it is still a class 6 road, whether I repair the culvert or
That's,
not.
that's right,
It's just whether it washes all out
Yep.
and down into the brook or not.
right. Okay,
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time. Will it be possible to get hard copies? Because you know how well I like computers.
I know. I'll mail, you want me to mail it to you?
Or I can stop. I
Here.
can stop up and pick it up, save you the $10.
Yours isn't written on? Oh, good. Here, take this with you.
That was easy.
Let's see, wait a minute, well, wait a minute, it doesn't have the other one.
what other one?
It has,
I can
This
step in tomorrow or the
Yeah.
next day, Dina, and you can leave me a nice
No,
little
I-
pamphlet if you want.
okay,
If you give me 2 of each, so I
Yeah.
can give them to Greg.
love to.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds good.
Have a good day, guys.
There's that.
Thank you.
Good idea, Jeffrey.
And they have to sign that too, so,
No,
which is.
that's all I
It's
have.
the same.
Okay. Well, we still have Sean here. We have a couple of, let's see, the Proudy common use. We have, skiway concerns and a farm auction parking.
Yeah,
That's good of a challenge.
so I'll start with the quick one, the Proudy. So I've talked with Bruce Bouchard, who is the operations manager. He is going to, what, all the southbound bikes will, because we're presuming that the covered bridge will be closed.
Yes,
So all the southbound bikes will be diverted onto North Thetford Road and then onto River Road,
oh,
as opposed to River Road from the Orford side. So he's gonna have, law enforcement and some of his safety vehicles at the North Thetford Orford Road intersection to make sure that all goes smoothly. Other than that, I think it's gonna be the normal thing that they do on Proudy Day. And I know that Michael and Aaron eyeballs just went wide open because of the hump right there. But he's gonna have, at least 2 police cruisers there, one on the northbound side, one on the southbound side. And lots of signs, so it'll be,
Yeah, mine, that is, that hump, we had, I mean, nearly had tragedies on like 3 times. One of them was involved with Grafton County Sheriff's Officer who was trying to get to the common. And they had, it was like the first year of mountain bikes, whatever, people kept turning.
Yeah.
And it was, yeah, that is an intersection that they previously had said they wouldn't make the turn going north, turning onto it
right,
because of that,
so
unless there's law enforcement.
the reason that I have directed them to use North Thetford Road is because I don't want 2,500 bikes coming by the pump
Oh, no, that's my.
Because you'll have
my
two-way
house is
traffic.
Horrible,
of bikes, and we did that for way too many years, and
so bad,
we're not doing it, so.
she's bad.
So we are recording this meeting, folks.
So that's sort of the,
And so then the northbound ones are gonna come in, they're gonna turn into the backside of the common, and then there'll be SAG set up there, and
yes,
the common will be taped off for parking of vehicles.
yes, then the shorter route will, go down East Bedford Road and left onto River Road. They're not doing the
100 mile or whatever.
35 mile ride this year because it involved something else that's gonna be closed in Orford, so he was like, I'm not doing it. And obviously they can do it here, so so they're only having those 4 routes, and their hope is to make sure that all of the long distance riders, the 50, 77 and hundreds are all out of Hanover by 9 AM. That will give the shorter rides. They can get into Lyme, take their left, and the hope is that there will not be two-way traffic north of North Deptford Road while southbounders are coming back, so. I mean, I think it's a crapshoot. There's always some stragglers, but you can't fix that, and they can't fix it. People just kind of do what they please, and, I mean, it is what it is. So
Okay,
that's where we're at with the crowd. The skiway issues, I've reached out to the liquor commission and, waiting on a second response from him. When I talked to him yesterday, the skiway withdrew their liquor license or their liquor license application back in February of 23.
Hmm.
So they have not
no license.
legally been able to sell alcoholic beverages out there since then. Now,
Mhm.
I'm not sure that it's happened. So he's gonna get back to me on. There was one thing I asked him, I can't remember what it was, but there was a few things in my email after I talked to him yesterday. I think that when we get ready to do this road repair, we've got to really take a good hard look at what we do.
Yeah. Okay,
There is some language in the
in the original agreement.
planning board,
I was researching the planning
rules.
board minutes, yeah,
no, in the rules.
Oh, in
book,
the regulations.
Yeah, and there was language in there that said the skiway was responsible for providing people to manage the parking lots and traffic and all that stuff. And that was pretty clear. And the other thing was if they had to build a structure, it was gonna be under site plan review.
Yeah,
But there was general language in there, which obviously hasn't been adhered to.
so I've been going back through the minutes and I haven't run across that yet, but I have a lot more to go back through. I've gone through maybe
I got a copy. of
10 years. Do you have one somewhere?
Planning board stuff, but I didn't, and I read it, but I didn't bring it.
Okay,
Well,
okay.
that's why having this meeting. Because I know that Mark, who's the, I don't know what his title is, manager maybe out there. Was unaware of.
A lot of those issues.
Important issues from the town of Lyme and the history and the way.
What did he take his job for if he doesn't?
Well, I think that because of the turnover and because of the
Pressure, perhaps.
the Dartmouth College, connection, everybody at Dartmouth College that gets hired doesn't know that we have, agreements about ambulance bills and agreements about this. And so we need to inform them there's two new I mean, Mark's not only the new guy, the other guy that we dealt with in the past, Mr. Kelly, no longer works there either, so there's a new guy there.
So you close them down until you get their attention and.
Well, you invite them to talk about it first.
They are under construction right now, actually.
Yeah.
They're building a bar area.
Oh, boy.
To serve non-alcoholic beverages.
No,
They don't have a liquor license.
they don't have a liquor license at this particular time, but who
Did
knows?
they
But
get
no.
did they get a zoning permit for the construction that they're
Yes.
doing?
Yes, they have a permit. And it is not for necessarily them to have a liquor license, although they may decide
Oh,
to
this is
go
like
for them. It
weddings
is
and,
for weddings and big
Gotcha.
events that they keep, that they're having out there. So that the caterer can come, or the person that is a caterer and has a liquor license can come
How
and
does that, how that work, Sean? If you hire an outside party, did they have to have the license?
They
For liquor,
do,
yes.
but when I talked to the gentleman from Liquor yesterday, he said that that the skiway also has to have a license.
I would think so.
I would think so
National
too.
one.
You don't think so?
it's not true. I know that's not right. Because we do catering and that you don't, yeah, okay. But anyways,
Just
they
don't know
have
what
to
the
if they're
guy
gonna
from
sell
Liquor
it, and if
said.
they're gonna provide it, yes, they have to.
But through the fire department, we maintain, we perform a PO, a place of assembly permit
Mm-hmm,
inspection. We give that. When there's like the pink copy is maintained on site by the facility owner. And that is to be either the pink or the canary one, and that's to be provided to the liquor commission when they're doing it. And usually it's just
If they
listed
apply,
there.
right.
But lots of times we'll have something where we'll do a place with somebody for, when someone sets up a tent on a private place or on the Hanover Common, grade ground, that we would do a one-time POA. And that's, but the person who owns the land doesn't have a liquor license. They have an inspection, and it's
Right.
for a third party
Coming in.
bartender to do it.
Right,
well,
Right.
bears
There's a
following
lot
up,
to it,
and
yeah.
thank you, Chief, for doing that. And thank you, Michael, for that.
But mine is, there's laws and there's all sorts of laws, but whatever the liquor commissioner says,
Yeah,
in the state of New Hampshire, they literally trumps like almost every other thing.
Mhm.
yeah. So, and if he wants to see one, Dartmouth better get one.
They, I think have the right to require it.
Yeah,
Yes.
Well, they wouldn't be able to sell alcohol if they didn't have a license. That's correct.
Or allow
Or-
someone else to, but there's also how you cater it.
Okay, well,
It's different than if you're
Right.
purchasing like a beer to go someplace, purchasing it to consume on site. Or also you hire somebody who then regulates the service. It's different. It's like why you have a cash bar versus someone can just buy whatever they want.
and there's about 5 different licenses that you can get.
Correct.
Types.
One thing that we could do when we get further along towards the end of this process this time, to maybe improve it sounds like one of the problems that we have is that there's constant turnover at Dartmouth, and that the people who are leaving don't necessarily take the time to train the people who are replacing them, and so there's a loss of institutional knowledge at Dartmouth. One thing that we could do would be to put together some sort of a white paper or a sheet that goes through the stuff, that's been agreed to over time.
mhm,
And that way, anytime there's a new person that takes over one of these positions at Dartmouth, we could have something that we could hand to them that says, hey, we recognize you probably maybe don't know some of this, but here are the ground
Here are the
rules for this.
agreements, yeah,
It's a perfect idea.
that is a good idea. And we can work on that. And hopefully it gets passed along, but if not, if we know who the new people are, we can give it to
You
them.
hear there's a
Right.
place now, there you go,
Right.
knock it on the door.
Yes, that's true too.
And the other thing I just thought of that you should know is when somebody in this town that has a facility that is gonna sell alcohol, the liquor commissioner sends a letter to the Board of Selectmen. So between the planning and the Board of Selectmen, you can all review it and make a comment on,
Well, we got that with respect to, the skiway this last time when they were applying.
That was no, well, it wasn't the skiway, that was the caterer who was
Okay.
going to be running the cafe out there.
Okay.
The
Next,
big auction.
next up is the auction.
So I have to call, Chris Turgeon from DOT back after noon today,
Okay,
because he had a late conversation with Mr. Tenson yesterday, I guess, so.
How much on-site parking are they gonna provide?
I do not know that yet. I mean, spring could come in June, and if his fields aren't,
Mm.
I mean, I guess one of the things is, how much, if East Effort Road is even lifted for posted, if they even post it. But I don't know that Mr. Tenson is gonna have much of his own parking there.
I
because
wouldn't think so if he's got the auctioneers and he's probably got some big,
Fields are,
What are they auctioning?
Yeah, everything under the sun.
and it's, so not only is it Mr. Tenson's equipment, but there are like
Probably,
8 or 10 other people who are trucking equipment in to be auctioned at this site. This auctioneer, Jay Martin, out of New York State, is a huge auctioneer, and this is what he does, and this is what he organizes.
So I'm sorry to be obtuse, Sean, but this is farm equipment. We're talking tractors and stuff like that.
Tractors. planters,
animals,
feeders.
just
There are no animals
vehicles.
there are no animals currently at this site that I know of, but who
Okay,
knows what.
you can look it up on the web, just look up, Tenson auction, and there's a great big thing showing all the individual pieces that are being auctioned off.
Yep.
And it's huge.
Is Mr. Tenson getting out of farming? Is that what's going on, or?
Yeah,
For the moment, you probably get back in at some point.
that's, not a very great location for that.
For the auction, no.
terrible location.
Well,
It's had
especially if
cattle
other
auctions,
people
it's
are
had
coming
cattle
in.
auctions there before.
Why can't they have it somewhere else?
Well, so parking, let's assume in 2 weeks' time, the fields are still wet, the roads are still maybe posted, maybe not. What are they planning?
I don't know, and once I talk to Chris this afternoon, I'll have a better handle on what that's gonna entail. If he tells me that, DOT has approved parking in certain places, then I will reach out to the auction company and provide them an upfront bill for law enforcement services for the day.
Yeah, so,
Because, I mean, if they're gonna allow people to park vehicles all over the place, well, then the pedestrians, they
yeah,
gotta get to and from, and, I mean, it's just gonna be a mess.
so, yeah, cause I'm envisioning the East Stepford Road ending up being 1 lane,
I think they already told them that they would not allow that.
okay, and
But-
then Route 10,
I don't know who would, I mean, it's gonna be up to us to make sure that people do not park on East Stepford Road, because they will.
and, yeah, and they'll
Yeah.
crowd down Route 10 and be walking in the road to get back up here.
Right.
So are we gonna ask for help from the
Uh,
sheriff's department?
I already have Anthony coming in. I think between the two of us, we can probably handle it.
Really?
I think so. It's gonna be pretty straightforward. You either move or I got a record come. And I will reach out to Randy Perry, and there's another record company that I can probably reach out to just to.
Have
make
them
sure
on
that-
call?
have
Do you
them-
ever just write citations for this kind of stuff, or is there?
I do, but in an instance like that, a situation like that, where, what's the sense of writing a guy a ticket from New York for parking in our road when we could just tow his car and make his life really miserable?
Cause they won't pay the ticket, or?
No,
Why would they pay a ticket if they're in New York?
They're never
Well,
gonna
because
come
then
back.
there's a warrant issue for. the
well,
arrest,
yeah,
and-
but,
And,
yeah,
like at some point, they might have to come back to New Hampshire, and it's a drag to have somebody pull you over because you have a brake light out and end up in jail.
But it's also a cheap parking fee.
right, I
It's
mean,
cheap, yeah.
with signs and with law enforcement people telling you not to park there, if you park there, you're getting towed.
And so they will be on call, these.
I wasn't
records.
challenging
Yeah, no, no.
your judgment about how to handle it, I'm just informing myself, so I understand the strategy.
Okay,
So I'll send an email out this afternoon after I talk to him, just to let you know what
And-
he said.
as I said to you, I'm willing to talk to him. I'm not sure it would help anything, as long as he thinks or
Yeah.
he doesn't think I'm blowing him off, but DOT is
Right, no, I think
Not
at this point.
my biggest fan.
They've got like 4 different levels of DOT involved in this, so I'm thinking that's, they
Okay,
probably have figured something out,
okay,
or want to ask me about something.
let me know.
Yep.
All right, that sounds like that's good. And then that brought up the very unpopular discussion that we probably don't want to have, but I'm gonna bring it up anyway, which is we could try out a one-way street on the back of the common, and that could be room for 20 cars if we wanted to see how that
We
would
could
work.
do that, yeah, I mean, they park back there
Anyway,
now, but yeah.
think about it.
We could put cars back there.
My view on the common parking situation, and I think I've expressed this before, is that we have at least one resident who's very hostile to any sort of change. And so in the absence of anything else, I would defer to the resident who lives there. As with Shoestrap Road, one of the things that would change my view about that is if our public safety officials, in particular Sean or Aaron,
Michael or Aaron.
were to tell us, look, we should change this because the situation there isn't safe, or because this would be a better way to, if we have our chief of police or our fire chief telling us, I think that we ought to
Okay.
go to one-way driving and put parking on the backside of the common, then that, for me at least, is a sufficient justification for overriding the concerns of at least a couple of
Of
residents.
residents, neighbors, okay, I appreciate that clarification.
It's all about passing the buck.
Oh, okay, that's even more clear.
I think he means clear communication.
Oh, Dina, you're gonna run for some kind of political
I'm
office.
trying to kick him under the table, but I can't
It's way
reach.
too far away. You could have some rubber bands and you could snap him.
Oh, hey, that's an idea. Thank you.
Okay, so. Michael Hensley, how is your, oh, well, do you have time? Do we, since we have everybody else here, do we want to move on to the letter and arrangements for Dorchester Road and Goose Pond Road? We have a draft, or do we want to go back and do the broadband mapping issue or the tax warrant?
What's the Dorchester Road respond?
It's the letter to the Smiths.
Oh, yeah, I got it, yep.
Do we want, while we have some extra safety folks to see how we have a draft. It's probably near the bottom of your packets.
Yeah, just to speak to that a little bit,
I have this.
Dina was kind enough to do an initial draft, and I modified it pretty heavily. And I was unsatisfied with the idea of sending out a letter and then sending out a subsequent communication that expressed what the endpoint, our desired endpoint was. So I actually spent some time, and I would tweak that again a little bit. I think I've been thinking about it since then. I have a couple other little edits I would make, but in general, I think I was pretty happy with it. My view would be, just in terms of process, is that you and Ben ought to look at it and make any changes you want to make, or or get comfortable with it or not, or wherever we're gonna go. And then if we want to continue to move forward with it, the next steps, I think, would be to have Sean and Aaron look at it. Because one of the elements that we're aiming for is emergency access. And once they're happy with it, then I would send it to Joe Driscoll or whoever at our council to review. And then we could then, now, any changes they get, we would have to look at again, and then we would be in a
Right.
position to send it out. I'm guessing that's at least 2 meetings out, but
Okay, I concur with that. My only concern is we told them we would get them something really quickly and I would,
Can I make a suggestion? You don't have to do this in a meeting. You can agree to this, the intent of it. And then people can add their things and send it to me. Everybody can read it again, and then I can just send it to Joe.
I think this is a public communication, so I think once we get a final letter, we put it up. Or I don't know if we put it on the website, but we would make it available to anyone who wants it, and I'm sure there are people, I'm not sure, but I would guess.
We'll ask Joe whether that's all right,
yeah,
but if it is, if somebody, just like draft minutes, or
Right.
information comes in and asks for something, but I would defer to Joe on that.
I just
definitely.
am concerned because we've been critical of the lack of performance coming this way. Even if it's only to say we are working on this, we've decided you will have one letter, but even if it's just the dates of performance, so they know that, and then but I liked the letter. It encompassed a lot of the issues that I thought were
Yeah, there was
important.
one thing that you put in your wish list that I didn't add, and I didn't add it deliberately, and that was a June 30th halfway mark.
June 15th,
or
yeah,
June
halfway.
15th. And the reason that bothered me and that I didn't add it was because I just didn't know how we would ever evaluate that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you and I are gonna drive out there and go, oh, that's
Yeah,
half of it.
that's half of it, yeah, well, that's a good point.
Well, you haven't been on there to see what all of it is,
So,
so
but
I
you,
think if they moved half of it, it would be pretty significant.
it would be, but still.
I only have one question, because I don't know where it will affect us with other places in town, other people in town. You say that, all vehicles,
oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
not registered and inspected.
Mhm.
And I think that and inspected is gonna be an issue.
That's what the court document
That's
says.
right out of the court order.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
That's why I
Which-
used that
which
language.
keeps-
I didn't make it.
So that means if somebody has a vehicle in their backyard and they register it,
doesn't cut it,
doesn't count. It's gotta be.
At least
inspected.
not in
That's
this-
it, that goes, applies to
but you
everybody.
can have,
Well, no, it
you
doesn't.
can't have more than 2, I think, 2 or 3 altogether. There's a certain number.
Well,
Yeah.
But they have, but what does the law say about those 2 on somebody else's property, not what the.
I completely get your point here, and this bothered me in drafting this, but that language is straight out of the court order.
Well, I
But
don't
the
have
question
any
is-
problem with that there. I just.
No,
want
but
Tina to
The
tell.
junkyard rules allow you, there's a specific number.
I
It
think
says
it's 2, no
any
more than 2.
vehicles 2 or more, or 3 or more, that are in your yard that are not registered and inspected. Then it's considered,
So it says
move it.
and, it says and.
Yes.
But you know what, I mean,
yes,
I anticipate that as a response from the Smiths, is they're gonna come in here and say, what the hell? I wanna be able to have my truck and a parts truck, and the parts truck isn't gonna be inspected or.
Yeah.
and
so.
he can.
Now he can't because the court order doesn't allow him to have that. And so the question is gonna be, and I thought about this when I was drafting this, like, do we want to right now say, we'll allow you to have
No,
4 vehicles, or
You
we'll
can't.
allow you to have 3
No.
I don't know.
I don't
you
think we
can't
do.
do that
We
in the
are taking this action according
Right.
to the court order. The
Well, the-
court order
The
stands,
court order is stricter than what the junkyard statute is.
that's right. And if he wants to take it back to court, that will be his call. But this was agreed to by them before, when the court order came out.
I'm sympathetic to that, but I gotta tell you, if he comes in here and says, I wanna be able to have
Yep,
3 cars on here, I'm probably vote for that. I'd be comfortable
okay,
with that.
well, I wouldn't because I don't want to violate the court order.
Right, you're not, you shouldn't vote on something like that. You should
It's
just
not-
tell him, I'm
It's not
sorry,
up
it's
to
not
us to
appropriate,
be
we
able
can't vote.
to waive
on
what
that.
the court said.
Right,
Hmm. Well,
And I think that, maybe we should specifically send an email, at some point to Joe and ask
I
about
think
that,
it's
because.
probably not
it should
too
be
early to
clear.
send it to
Right.
Joe, and we can give it to folks.
yeah, I mean, that would be fine too. That's another thing that we
Let's-
could do is at our next meeting, we could schedule it, or at some other point, we could schedule a non-public session where we, obtain
Yeah.
legal counsel
Yep.
from Mr. Driscoll and ask him
Mhm.
about,
That,
and,
Yep.
among, you guys may have other questions, but that would be
Right.
one of the questions that I would want to ask is, cause, come on, if they came in here 2 months from now and that property was stripped clean, but he had 4 parts trucks there, I'd be dancing a friggin' jig. I'd be completely happy with that. That would not bother me at all. I'd be completely copacetic with that. And I bet you would be too. You'd be, so now, the truth of the matter is, I don't think that's gonna happen, and I don't even think he's gonna get close to clearing this thing off. I think we're gonna be in there at the end of August hiring a removal company, but
On another note, there's a letter here from. Anyways, about, Mark Schiffman was
oh, yeah,
heading up, and I think he and his group should be appointed as a committee to oversee the cleanup.
let's
and
take up
work.
that next. That's a good suggestion. It was Michael Whitman that wanted the town
Well,
select board to take over this.
Totally
Which
not
we
the
can't,
board's
but
place to do
I want to
that.
hear what Sean was gonna say. Let's
Yeah.
finish up the letter first, and then Ben will get to that.
I was just gonna say, I wonder if the wording from the court is stricter than the junkyard rules because the court was tired of listening to excuses.
I think it probably was, and I think
You know, I mean.
Yeah.
That would be my
Well,
only guess.
and
Sean,
all,
procedurally, the way that order came about was, there was a series of back and forths where the court ordered them to do things, and then they didn't do the things that were ordered, and the last step in the process was our attorney, the town of Lyme's attorney, drafted a motion that said, we want the court to order A, B, C, D, and E, and the court just said, okay, I order that. And so the actual language came from our attorney.
Well, that's
Hard to
all right.
know.
How about in your letter? I think you should say that this language from us is coming from the court.
oh, that would be a
I
good,
do, well, yeah, I could do
Say
that.
it's must.
that would
You could
clarify it.
make it clear, right, just by saying this is the language.
As
Because in-
set forth in the
In,
court order.
in this instance, someone could claim that
But-
they have
but if you
one
look-
registered vehicle and 20 registered but not inspected because they're all parts cars
Mhm.
or vehicles. And I think that's exactly where the town and the court were coming to.
But if you look down, so this is in the third bullet point, sub item A is the language from the court order, although didn't say that. But then I also, it's a little bit repetitive because, if you look at item D, properties are in compliance with all orders issued by the state of New Hampshire Superior Court in the matter captioned blah, blah, blah. So that's,
I just move it
Right.
up front.
Yeah.
Start with that, yeah, right.
okay, I can make that
Um,
change.
I had one change I wanted to make in the address for each of these people. Personally,
Mhm.
you may disagree, but they don't live at 116 Dorchester Road, and I don't know if they get mail there or not, but they live, and we now have
I
their,
see UPS packages sitting out on the piles of junk out there every once in a while.
we have addresses for them in Orford.
So we should send them
So,
wherever they
I-
get their mail.
Well, we don't know
Or
where
to
they
both.
get them, or to both, but we definitely need to copy them in, or I think, in Orford.
Send them both places. Send them everywhere.
And
And
I,
hand them to a sheriff.
Well, you may wanna,
I would love to have the sheriff deliver the letter to them at their place of residence, but that'll
That's
just
okay.
ratchet up
you
the,
could have it,
Just-
you could send it certified, so they had to sign for it.
They won't.
they won't pick
I
it up.
know, but
But if-
usually that's what I do. I do
Usually I
cert-
send them both.
I send it certified and US mail, and they never sign for it, but at least I know they got it.
Because
it
it
was
doesn't come back. That's-
regularly mailed.
Yeah. They
Right.
might have gotten it, but when they see town of Lyme on it, they might
Right.
have brown filed it. At least for the sheriff's department, you know it's been served because there's a receipt that says they were served.
So,
Well, and then Jed usually puts it up on his Facebook page, so.
does he
There's
really?
that.
Does he have a Facebook page? Really?
Mhm.
Oh. Um. Now I've totally lost my train of thought. Okay, I think
Have a donut hole.
So we're gonna make those, to put those additional addresses in also,
yes, and
And-
let's send it to everybody all at once.
okay?
And just, I don't know if you agree with me that we should at least let them know that we're still working on this and they will be just, or that the deadline date is August 31st.
They know that, we told them, and they agreed to it. I would just say, let's get it done next week.
Yeah.
and-
Okay,
And Dina, when I go home after the meeting today, I'll make these changes we just talked about and resend it to you.
Okay,
okay,
and then I'll just shoot it out to Joe
yes,
Shoot it out to
Get it
Joe
done.
and to Aaron and to Sean.
and tell Aaron and Sean really only add anything if it really needs to be added. No.
does Michael need it?
Well, no,
Yes.
Michael
actually, if you
too.
guys have-
Actually, Michael,
I
yeah,
think
I'm
all these
joking.
three should-
Michael should see it too.
Yep.
From the health officer's
And
point of view.
then that will bring us to, Ben's suggestion. That we have Mark Schiffman and the group that's organized become a formalized committee of some sort.
Absolutely not.
I oppose that. I
Okay.
think the town of Lyme, look, if they form a group and they're raising money to help with this cleanup, as I said at the public meeting, I'll write a check. But my view is that the town of Lyme should not become officially entangled in that effort. That is a private effort of people trying to help their neighbors, and it shouldn't be town sponsored. We shouldn't be using tax dollars for it, and we shouldn't have anything to say about it. That ought to
Well,
be.
you're also in a lawsuit with them, so you shouldn't be doing that.
And is it appropriate for our town moderator to be involved in that?
Probably not,
Well, you know what, though?
but whatever.
Well, it's a tricky thing, right? Because
It
just
is.
because you volunteer to serve public office, doesn't mean you give up all your rights as a citizen of the town.
No.
My perspective is if
Right.
he's clear that he's doing this in his individual capacity and not as a representative of the town or not as a town moderator, then I think he ought to be able to do whatever he wants. Otherwise, if not, nobody's ever gonna serve for anything,
Well,
because
I think the lawsuit is a game changer. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't want him to get in trouble, nor do I want,
are we
Yeah.
currently in litigation with them? No, well, I don't think we are.
we're taking an action based
Yeah.
on
Prior
litigation that
is-
was not concluded. So
Oh, yeah, I think you still.
I
consider
think we're
yourself.
still,
I mean,
That was a 2015 litigation. I mean, we're not,
right,
I don't think that, maybe the dock is
but
still open. on
we're
it.
following through with, right, exactly. Again,
Pretty
another
much.
question for Joe,
love
another
that.
question for Joe.
for
Let's
him
get
to
this cleared up.
clarify. I mean,
So
you can't, you have to. be
I
careful.
would be happy to send an email to Michael Whitman, or we can simply say that in this meeting, we have said openly and publicly that the town cannot be involved in the GoFundMe or other private donations that people are making, except to caution people to make sure somebody is in charge of the funds and how it gets dispersed, and it should be.
I want to say again, just because she made this comment to me, but Sue McKinsey at the after town meeting very graciously agreed to assist in this effort. So, you know, it's not a town effort, but to the extent anyone's looking at the minutes from this meeting and wants to take advantage of Sue McKenzie's generosity, she's made that offer.
Okay. That's nice. I know that I think she was helpful last time, but only because I think she stood on the property and directed. And I'm not sure that would be appropriate this time.
Well, that-
And this part
that
of it.
fit under the same category as having a group.
Yes, yeah,
And this part of it, the cleanup is really a separate
So
issue.
they, you know,
and
she
they
wants to join the group.
Organize something else.
yeah.
Right.
it's a
Look,
complicated, sticky wicket.
we got this thing from Michael. Michael has been very vocal at times about various different aspects of this thing. That's fine. I don't feel any compulsion to respond to Michael's comments. I mean,
Okay,
we're doing what we're doing, and I think we're doing the right thing from the town's perspective, and
okay, I'm good with that. Thank you. We have some just regular stuff like minutes, manifest, intent to cut. We will have a discussion on broadband mapping initiative. But I think before we go into those sort of straightforward things, we need to take about a 10-minute non-public session. Michael is gonna sit with us. The three of
It's
us.
not non-public.
It's not
The
non-public?
warrant?
Yeah,
No, it's not non-public.
well then, let's
These
get her
two
done.
just need to be, all three of you need to appoint him like you did last time.
what is this about?
And
This is about, a supplemental
Killam.
tax warrant for the Killam Bear Center.
All right, so I'm gonna leave the room.
not yet, you're not.
All right, well,
You three are going to,
We
somebody's
need
gonna make a
to-
motion.
I will make a motion to appoint Michael Hensley as a previous select board member, honorably discharged, to sit.
is that a thing?
No. To sit with me and authorize a supplemental tax warrant, to which I need a second.
Can we second?
Yeah, it's,
Yes, you can second.
all right, I'll second.
Thank you, David. All those in favor of appointing Michael?
Then I,
And I,
And Judy, I. Okay, that's approved. Now you
Now
guys
you
can go
can
sit
leave.
out there or sit in the hallway or whatever. Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Busy morning. Thank you, Aaron.
Yes.
hey, Sean,
Yes, sir.
I don't know if this ever comes up, but I haven't.
What time is it? Yes,
Drinking out.
at 11:23, we went into, oh, it's not even non-public session. so
No,
we're
it's
here.
not, it's public. A
No,
tax
public.
warrant is
Um,
public.
So Dina, would you like to,
I will.
thank you, speak to us?
Yes, speak to us. So in the long run here, what happened is, the exempt, tax exempt property that was approved for the Killam Bear Center was, challenged by a private citizen who brought this to the BTLA.
Which moved to the who?
To the
Board
BTLA.
of
Board of
Tax and
Land, yeah.
Land
Yep.
Appeals.
And so in re-looking at everything, it was, a property naming issue that was not correct, or it was not, anyways, it should have been in the the Killam Bear Center property, the actual buildings that are being exempt. And it is not, or it was not. At the time, it was in Debbie and Ben's private name, so they didn't qualify. So this is a supplemental warrant because they are gonna pay the taxes of the amount that was forgiven or exempt the last time
Mhm.
and reapply when everything is
So
copacetic,
they're repaying
right?
the amount of exemption.
The amount of the assessed value that they were exempt.
Okay.
And that amount is $5,999.89.
59998
Yep.
to repay amount of assessed
Mhm.
exemption.
Right,
Okay.
Cause you can have a 501(c) and a nonprofit that has. Why do you say that? I'm asking that as a question.
mhm,
Cause you could operate, you could have a piece of privately owned property,
mhm.
much like the fee of a road. And then you have another entity that's operating on that space. You don't have to take it out from current use or anything like that.
Well, you do have to take anything you're using, like a
building.
building.
Building
on
stuff
current
out.
use. But current use doesn't really have anything to matter, anything to do with this. This is really about the fact that in order for one of the qualifications to be considered tax exempt,
Yeah.
because it's a building and because it's essentially owned by the Killam Bear Center. It needs to be in the Killam Bear Center's name.
Yeah.
Not.
And my understanding, thank you, Dina,
No, okay,
Is-
that's,
that so they are going to be able to remedy this, we believe, in time for this coming tax year by deeding the building only and then a lease to allow it to be on the property.
perfect.
And they have done that. So
Okay.
they, when it comes, when the board gets all their tax exempt properties to consider this year, it will be in the Killam Bear Center.
That's good. And I mean, so that is my understanding from previous discussions on tax exempt sets. difference. So,
Right.
But I do think that as you look at, and that's, I don't believe this is our first time we've had something that's an evolving or maturing tax exempt
Mhm.
or something when you set up for like continuity of operations and stuff. I can
Well, I mean,
understand.
I've been doing this for 23 years, 22 years. And,
Yeah,
you know, when you look at all the financials, it's got them it's got the building listed on it. So you just assume that
Yeah.
it is. So I never,
well, that's
Considered.
interesting. But I mean, once again.
I learned.
But the thing, and that's why it's
Yeah.
good to have the state that does the backup. Okay, good.
Yep, so
So-
this looks like we have an attorney
Mhm.
confirming that that's what's gonna happen and that it's okay, and they have filed.
Yeah, and our attorney has looked at the documents and they're happy with them and
Good, then I would move that we accept this modification of the town of Lyme property tax warrant.
the supplemental.
The
tax
supplemental.
Warrant
Yep,
in this amount.
In that amount, and the amount is.
$5,999.89.
Right.
Michael moved, Judy seconds. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye,
Aye,
and Judy, aye. So it is approved.
Okay, excellent. And then here's the document.
yeah, that's,
Signature.
that, because I don't remember that ever, but that is,
Mhm.
yeah, as.
Well, this is a unique situation. We've never had a situation like this before
But it's, I
in town that I can think of.
think we may have, but I think it's because
Private
it,
property, though.
well,
You-
we kind of split hairs when we did the,
Historians,
no, not the historians,
the
but,
Woodlands place.
yeah.
Yeah.
Except for they own the whole property.
Yes,
It's
they
in the
do.
Woodlands name and
Right.
it's just the apartment in the back. So
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah,
that's,
but that's okay, but it
That's
was,
way different,
again,
right.
unusual and
yeah,
took
yeah.
a little time to
Yeah.
work it out.
Yeah.
Michael,
Just glad
You're
we
a
got it
peach.
worked out.
thank you for,
Yes, thank you.
Do we have other things? Do I recuse?
I think that's
Or
it.
we just end the meeting?
No, we're gonna
just-
do minutes and a manifest and an intent to cut and some other
Right, and
stuff.
we just say it's 11:30, whatever. and
anything yet.
11:30, okay.
It's 11:30 and then Ben and David re-entered.
Yep. Thank you, Michael.
Have a great day.
Bye,
You do
Michael.
the same.
Listen to those two, blah, 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 blah. blah.
I know. I knew this would be a long meeting.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dina, thank you for your help with that.
Mhm.
We still have people on.
Yeah, we have Hebe and PCK. I think that's Phil, the
Kinsler.
the new trustee. And Jordan.
Bye.
Did he come in and talk to you,
Who?
Phil Kinsler?
Yeah, nice meeting.
Good.
Yeah. They're gonna sit out here and yak.
Nice.
Come on. Out there having a conversation about bears. Come on.
Now they're talking snow blowing.
I might have to make you go get them.
Well, I have a snow blower on my tractor that runs at the PTO.
We're talking about important stuff.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay,
Tractors.
Oh, Frank would be happy.
yeah, let's see what we can do to conclude things. We have minutes from March
I
21st.
move them,
Okay, Ben?
and I.
David, I looked at them.
Okay, I'll second them. And you guys, I, and we're all set with the minutes. They were approved. And then we have a manifest.
Mhm.
I will recuse myself from the manifest because I got a very large check from the town. And
You know what, you could sign off on it and just exclude that item.
I could,
Mhm.
but if you've both looked at it,
I have signed it already, it looked fine.
okay.
Is he gonna have to put some,
Okay, wait, did somebody move the manifest and?
I move it,
I'll second.
And David manifest, and you both
and
agree.
I.
David, on.
Okay, I recuse. But you're right about that, I could. And
Intent to cut.
Mhm.
It's really coming down again. It's
Yeah.
like the
Yeah,
back
they-
end of this.
It's
I
not
thought I was
supposed
gonna
to
get away
end
with
till
not,
like 8
not
o'clock at
snowball
night.
in my driveway, but I'm gonna have to take out
let's see, we did
We had,
that.
we had like 10 inches at our house this morning.
We didn't have that much
Plowed
only
mud.
before 5.
If he wants it plowed, and then try to get it mud.
I know.
So
That's
we
where the
have,
snow blower is really nice, cause you can
The
set it
intent
to
to cut.
leave an inch on the ground.
That'd be
Yep.
nice, but
an intent to cut out on Pout Pond
Mhm.
Lane.
Right.
I think Ben is looking at that
Yeah.
right now.
This is on Pout Pond? What's the address?
It's,
it's Wilkes. Clay.
it's, the
um,
house, well, he doesn't live there, but it's,
Is that what used to
used to
be
be
Going on
Putman's.
top,
Putman's.
top block.
Pup Lodges?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a nice property.
It is very nice property.
And there's a lot of land there, and my only question
77
is,
acres.
there's no, I don't know who's gonna do the work and how much he's gonna cut.
Himself,
He's gonna cut it himself.
him and his handyman, they're only cutting a few. Yeah, I think it's all from him too. It's for firewood. I should have done.
That's,
You really have to do that to cut for a couple trees for firewood?
Well, it depends on how much you keep and how much you cut, and we encourage people to even fill them out, even if they're cutting for their own firewood, more than 10 cords, because you're only 10 is exempt. And I'll tell you what happens. Somebody's got 4 trees on their driveway they want to cut down. People see that. And the very first thing they do is call our office and say, do they have an intent to cut? So if you get an intent to cut, you don't sell anything, we can write right on it, you know, no cut, no sale, no whatever.
Just to be
At least they
clear, if something falls down on its own, you're exempt, right?
You don't just cut it up, yeah.
Yeah, you can
Do
just
what
cut
you
that up.
want
I don't
with
have to get
Yeah.
the government's approval to.
Well, only if like 20 trees.
and where you live, you can probably cut a few trees down, nobody will see you.
I was gonna say, the issue is that, you know, we have concerned citizens. So
Well,
they call up.
We have cut a couple of trees at a time, and we
Right.
do split them and use them for
Right.
firewood.
And I don't think anybody would
Uh,
say a word. It's just when you start cutting them up.
Well, when the chainsaw runs for days on end.
Mhm. Well, and the state tracks that, and we get timber tax and all that stuff, so,
Okay, so we've signed that.
excellent, thank you.
Now we have the statewide broadband mapping initiative. We looked at this like 2 months ago.
Yep.
I think, and we said, we have Lyme fiber. I don't think we want to be a part of this.
Well, okay,
I
so.
don't understand
I
it.
read this and what this looks like to me is they're not asking us to participate in developing broadband for the town of Lyme. They're doing a study so that they can look and see where there is broadband and where there isn't. And they're gonna use that study in order to allocate grant funds from the state and for other research purposes. And
All
so
right, we'll do whatever.
the question is, do we wanna give them data about the town of Lyme. It's some work for us and we don't really get anything out of it.
We
On the
don't,
other hand, it's a state thing and they're just trying to gather information, you know, kind of obnoxious to tell them to go pound sand.
oh yeah, we already did.
Well, it depends on what, I was just gonna say, we've already, you guys already decided, we informed them that, you know, we had no desire or whatever to participate in this.
Yeah,
And, you know, if they just wanna know how many pieces of property and what our population is, well, there you go. But that's an easy one, but I suspect that we're not talking about that. I think they already have the grant money. They've already started this. They started this
Yeah,
a long time ago.
I know, but they're not, there's nothing in this for us. They just want
That's true.
information. And,
No, I
but
get that.
we're a public, we're a town,
Okay.
you know, we're a government entity. And so if another government entity is asking us for something that we can provide easily,
If it is, yeah, I'm happy to find out what they want.
that would be for me, the question. Like if they're looking for, you know, a 50-page questionnaire with detailed da-da-da-da, then no, thank you. We don't have the resources to help you with that. But if they're just looking for some basic information that can be assembled without a huge amount of effort, well, I think we should give it to them.
I will ask them.
Ask them.
I will. Love to. Thank you.
You know, and the amount of information people want. We've been ordering GPS collars for bears for years. This time we got a notification from FedEx that they needed forms filled out. It was like 5 pages.
Mhm.
What for?
I know, it's crazy.
cause you're
You know, all
shipping the
kinds of stuff. They
GPS
wanted
through
a
the,
picture of what we were gonna use them on, so I sent a picture of a bear with a collar on.
Well, what's happening is everything's changing and things are getting more complex. Even though we have electronic stuff, state-wise, you know, the requirements are more and more and more and more and more. Because they're short of funds and because
Yeah.
they're short employees and
and they
because
need
they
stuff,
this.
yeah.
So it's making it 5 times harder for us. More time consuming, I mean, not really hard.
Unfunded mandates.
Yeah. I was trying not to say that because,
Oh.
but no, that's fine. I didn't want to sound like I was being negative. So,
You're doing very well.
We're gonna call one of my hearing aids broke, call the hospital and they have a special line for hearing aid repair. And I get this and you crack up, due to call volume. What the hell? There's no call volume. They just don't hire anybody to answer the phone anymore.
Okay, so, okay, you have something else first. You have it
I
in
have New
hand.
Hampshire, yes, the green up day.
Oh,
I just would like, permission to fill out this form for Blake
go for it.
and sign it. Okay, thank you. They're having it, you know, they do it all the work. They just need somebody to fill it out online and.
And just in
Okay
case
for me,
anyone
guys.
is curious, the Conservation Commission met earlier this week. And they did address the FERC issues. I don't know if we're gonna see a draft. But the town has 3 times previously sent things to the concerning FERC and the Connecticut. And they also said that the state has pulled their wakeboard proposed legislation, and it's, not going forward, at least this year. So that's an update for anyone that might be listening.
So when you say you don't know if you're gonna see a letter or not, you mean from Conservation Commission? You don't know if you're
To
gonna
FERC.
write one?
I don't know, but I know it was on their agenda and I took it out.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. I didn't have an opportunity
Yeah, I
to
haven't heard.
Zoom the meeting and I haven't heard, but I know it was on the agenda.
Okay.
Could I ask a question about the committees, the various committees that we serve on?
Mhm.
So right now I'm on the Energy Committee, which meets on Monday, and the Planning Committee, which meets on Thursday.
Thursday. That's a lot.
Well, the Thursday one is a problem for me because my daughter is taking boxing in Lydenville And
Lindenville.
Lyndonville, yeah, up in Vermont, and it's Thursday afternoons, and so when I drive her up there and then drive her back, I miss that meeting.
Mhm.
And I hate to not have to do that. I'm wondering if there's somebody else has something else that I could trade with that doesn't meet on Thursday night, or
Sure.
I don't know. I mean,
Actually, we should take up all of that.
You should review the committees and. decide.
Review the
Yeah.
committees and make new assignment decisions and, also vote on the
Vote on
chair and the
chair
vice chair.
chair.
So how about we put that on for next time?
Okay,
We'll do that. If you, as you know, my philosophy is if there's a family issue or for other personal commitment, we are volunteers. And I include staff in terms of people should be able to do those most
yeah, I don't feel
important
any
things.
kind of religious compulsion to attend any of these things. If something comes up and I
Right.
miss it, but this is a regular recurring thing, and
Recurring
so
thing.
it's, I'd be missing every one, and.
Right.
I understand.
That's
Yeah.
not
When she gonna be a pro boxer?
She's good, I'll tell you, she hits hard. Like for a 15-year-old girl, you hear her hit the mitts, it sounds like a gun going off.
That's
Mm.
funny. I remember one time, a work cohort and I did one of the Dartmouth College town sponsored, activities, which was kickboxing. We got pretty good at it and we had some pretty good slams with our legs. We were laughing.
Mm,
Our
Excuse me.
instructor, yes?
I have,
It's just getting to the end of the meeting and I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of one thing going on. Could I tell you about it?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think folks have been, like Helen White has been in touch with Dina about some of this, but there's a plan for a post-pond fair the day
not-
after May 5th at Post Pond.
Well,
well, no, wait, Sue McKenzie has been in touch with me.
Right,
And
yes,
it was presented to me as not a fair, it was presented to me as when she filled out the form, it says the Friends of Post Pond. But I guess I thought the Friends of Post Pond were meeting out there to do their thing. To
yeah,
talk and-
there's just gonna be some information about the milfoil, the
Right.
swimmers group.
Right,
Natural resources, some resources from the state might come over and just be available to answer questions. They're gonna talk about the pollinator garden, the Chafee wildlife. It's just, there's gonna be a tent. And
I think, we need a lot of information to ASAP.
well,
That's kind
Sue did mention a tent. What I said to her was, well, we need to talk about that because there's lots of underground electricity
Right.
and water. And so nothing's, I mean, we're holding the date for her,
what's
but
the
I
date?
think it was waiting for
I-
more
I think
information.
yeah, and the board hasn't seen anything about
Well, you
it.
wouldn't
the
see
rec
it. It's
commission.
the rec commission, right?
Right.
And
Right,
they'll
it's-
address on the 15th.
I'm just bringing it up because I know you guys don't meet for another 2 weeks.
That's right.
It's an informal group of citizens and they just met yesterday afternoon. So that's why I was just trying to let you know as soon as possible as ideas are spouting forward.
Right. Well, I think I need to touch base with Sue to find out, because this sounds much larger than what I was envisioning.
Oh, I'm not sure how many people are gonna show up, but we're gonna, just publicize it locally. It's just a low key information, trying to get people interested in working on issues around milfoil and, that kind of thing.
And we don't even know if the area is going to be opened up yet by May 15th.
It won't be officially opened, and Sue knew that. We will not.
We
But
keep-
anyways, we can work on that. I'll talk to Sue.
Well, thanks for the heads up.
Well, I'm trying to be helpful.
Yes, that's helpful. Thank you. Okay, we do have, where are we? I think we have some non-publics now.
Well, you have one, I just
Oh.
want to ask you one thing about the, Stan Grattan,
Yes,
contract. It's a draft contract. It's gone to Naomi, but what I need from you guys is, I need to know if you want to meet with, I know you want to meet with him, but, obviously with Scott too, to go over plans for the repair and timing and all that
this has
kind
to
of
do
stuff.
with the Edgel Bridge.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, the Edgel Bridge. So I need to know if you want to plan that into one of your regular meetings, or do you want just a separate meeting to talk about that? And the contract.
Well, if we want to talk about the contract, we can do that pretty easily if we see the contract and send it to town council, which you've already done. I think we would probably like to meet with this individual at some time.
Well, until you meet with him, you can't agree on attachment A and attachment B, because it will probably come out of that meeting,
Oh,
which has to do with some specifics
okay.
in the construction of the bridge.
So how about you forward that draft to us and we get a look-see at it, and then we can figure out what we need to do. At least for my part,
I just need to know if you want to address it during a meeting. Am I gonna set a meeting up with him? He wants to come and meet with you guys. So are we meeting during a regular meeting, or do you need it to be on a separate day?
I think it can be with a regular meeting.
Whatever you guys want.
I mean, he shouldn't take forever. And a lot of the stuff we do is just boilerplate. Sign.
yeah,
Probably not the next one, but. Excellent, thank you very much.
okay.
And yes, I'll send you guys this. I just wanted Naomi to look at it and say,
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
She should look at it
so she,
first.
so she wouldn't make 100 changes and then you'd
After
have to
we've
look at it
approved
again.
Right, no, that's the way to go. Is it time for non-public?
How's the fundraising, any more money coming?
$50,000 more.
Wow,
This is for Edgel?
Yeah,
that's good.
yeah, I know, I was gonna have a total for you, but I don't,
Well,
but it's
I can do the
50,000
math.
more
I can
than
do
what
the
you had
math.
at town meeting.
Whip out your town report.
We don't know about, oh, you know what, did we send,
We did. I hand wrote a note and I signed it on behalf of the board and put it in the mail.
I'm glad you brought that up. Bill, the gentleman that's
Yes,
doing that, emailed and wanted to know if the board would like to meet with him and a couple of the other people from the group to talk about it.
What's it?
sure.
The bridge, Edgel Bridge, this is that fundraiser they're gonna do. The historical
Oh,
New Hampshire Bridge historical, if you wanna meet with them and hear about it.
well, if it gives them a boost, we should.
All right. I think that was it for me.
Okay. At 10:50, no, 11:50. I'll move to go into non-public session.
I'll second.
Uh,
David,
Judy, I. Oh, it's RSA 91A, all the other things. :3, Roman numeral 2, little a, personnel. And so we say goodbye to our fearless audience. And thank you, Hebe, for that heads up.
she's off. She ditched us.
I think everybody else is off. I don't think any.
I don't